Hey folks, welcome back to The View for the match day review for Leeds United 3, Middlesbrough 1. Back to winning ways, the 8th home win in a row at Elland Road, and a really, really good night against a very, very good Middlesbrough side. So good news all around, some very big performances to get stuck into as well, and I'm delighted to be joined by Ben Locke from Lockie Leeds and Paul from the Leeds Therapy to discuss this game, because there's a lot of stuff to get into, but I want to just check in with the guys and say, Lucky, first things is first person up is you, I suppose, because you're right there. If I can get my words sorted out. How are you being, mate, and how's things?
Oh, brilliant, man. Yeah, proper game, wasn't it? Do you know when we win and it's just about, yeah, it was good. They were very good. Last night, we can say we won. We were good and they were very good and we were the better team. It made it a proper entertaining game. Honestly, mate, I'm proper in the season now. I feel like I'm proper in it now. Before it was a bit, we'd win. I'd be obviously delighted, but now I'm proper like, yeah, come on now, let's go win this. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, football's great. I've got a horrible, just a swollen toothache face. So yeah, that's fun. But hey, I can't have all happiness. Something's got to humble my happiness, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the two of you are in bits, apparently. Paul, you're not well either. How are you doing, mate?
Um, yeah, I'm okay, thank you. I'm doing better than what I was earlier on today. I was at the game last night, so I have no voice left. I am now full of cold at the same time as well. So, and I've smashed the myth because I got there on time
Oh, nice one.
for the game.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and we still won.
How
So,
dare you take that risk, Paul?
It's a
mate,
big risk.
it was a
Okay.
big risk. I did get there. And I considered sitting in the car for a bit at first, but then changed. No, genuinely, I was sat there going, should I get out or should I just sit in the car? But I just echo what Lockie said. It was so refreshing to watch a game of football where we had a team that wanted to play football, because it made for a much better spectacle in terms of both of the teams playing together. It was, for me, they're the best footballing side I've seen at Elland Road,
Yeah.
just in terms of in terms of playing out from the back, in terms of pressing onto us, and then in terms of us pressing onto. It was just really, really good to watch. And what was really, really good to see for me was you can actually see now in terms of what Fark tries to do within a game and how it works. It's just, I've been starting to slowly sing Farker's praises a little bit more, and especially last night. I know we bitch about his substitutions, but the substitutions made a big difference last night as well, which was
100%.
really, really good. And that's not the first time that that's happened. And the rotation of the squad worked fantastically well. So I'm a happy boy. I can't speak. I'm full of cold. I can't smell anything. It's not the worst thing, but
No.
yeah, I'm fine.
Good. Yeah, you're on the money with a lot of good points there as well. Yeah, the Farkas stuff is changing. Yeah, I've been skeptical about his football. I've said before, I don't care who gets us up as long as we get up. I would have liked to see better football, but I think it's easy to say that now, Lockie, when you've got a team that comes and has a go at you. And last night, possession stats wise and everything else, head to head, 50-50, both sides came and had a go. And credit Middlesbrough for that. And Michael Carrick, good manager with a decent side. And up until getting late on in the game, it could have gone either way. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it's like obviously under the Bielsa team, for the first half of each season, teams didn't really know what to expect. So they'd do that against us, they'd come up against us and go, that's not entertaining. But then at the end of every season, especially the first one, where teams understood it, they started to sit a bit deeper, and now what you had the team in Middlesbrough who have their style like we do, and they're going to play it. And I respect that and I rate that. It's so frustrating. I get it. Like I said, I'm not going to change my mind. I get it when teams sit deep. I get it.
Yeah.
I'd do the same if I didn't have a good a squad as we do, 100%. But it is boring. And it takes two teams to make an entertaining game. I'll always say that it does. And you could tell Farker at the end of the game, the first thing he did was praise Middlesbrough because he got the game he wanted. Now, we're not going to get that every week. Probably most weeks we won't. So don't get used to that entertainment, I'd say. But yeah, two good teams. Honestly, I don't usually praise opponents too much because they usually just come and do similar things. But fair play to them. I hope they get top six. I hope we win or get top two when they get top six because I just love the way they played. But we came out better. We had the quality in the ends. The goalkeepers had little moments to play. Meslier did his thing. That's what we want him to do in games where it's thing. Just 2 moments in games, make your saves. He did that. Quality. So yeah, good game, mate. And like I said, it proper brought me into it now. I'm feeling really, I want more games now. Even though I know none of them will be like that, but we can all dream. Yeah, but good
Well,
game, mate. I loved it.
Yeah, it was. It was an enjoyable match to watch. As we said, teams are not always going to come and have a go and play into our hands a little bit. They're going to sit deep. That's just how football works. Every team has different tactics, and you've got to deal with it and find ways to break them down. We'll have that to deal with at the weekend against Preston. We'll talk about that towards the back end of the stream. But Paul, there were some very big moments in last night's game and some very big performances from players. Ilan Meslier, one who made two very, very big saves. I talked in the news today about the links with him with Stade Rennes, and the fact that he had moments this year that have gone well and moments that were not so well, and where we dropped 3 points against Sunderland because of a mistake. He possibly kept us in the game at 1-0, which allowed us to then go on and get the second and then get the third. So he essentially could have helped win us 3 points in this game. But not just him, we have to talk about him as well. Daniel James with an absolutely phenomenal performance last night, going forward and tracking back. The amount of ground he covered, another goal last night, and we'll get to the totality of the contribution from the wingers. But just Meslier and James, just for those two. We are going to talk about Max Wober as well, but just with those two right now, what were your thoughts on them last night, Paul?
I was really impressed with Meslier last night. With the goal, obviously the own goal that was scored, there wasn't a lot he could do about that. It was a near post flash header, so it was one of those things. It was just where it was. But the tackle on Doak was phenomenal. How quickly he came out, and his decision to just go, do you know what? I'm just taking everything. I'm taking everything and going for it. Funny thing is if Doak had anything about him and turned around, if Doak had anything about him and turned around, he could have got a penalty. But Meslier cleared it. There was a couple of balls that he got that he did really well with. There was a couple of times where we've always criticised it can be a bit indecisive, but just booted it. Let's get rid of it, get reset, and do what we need to do. I mean, Dan James, I just love him. Everything about him. His pace. He is so much. He seems like, I don't know. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's becoming a dad. I genuinely think it's him becoming a dad has just changed him completely. His actual decision making, his thought process, his overall game smarts is so much better. I mean, we talked about it. The Wober free kick that goes into the wall and cannons off, and then Doak's like completely done strike up, and then just out of nowhere, I don't know. We were watching it. It was just literally, you could have done the sound of it. He just went, got the ball, and he'd gone with the ball. And we're all stood going, how did he do that? Where did he come from to actually retrieve that ball? But it's not only his attacking, it's his defensive awareness that he does as well. He covers so well. Him and Sam Byram and Bogle as well have a really, really good understanding with each other, which is great to see. And then obviously he gets his goal. He misses the easier one because he passed it at the keeper, gets put through by Peru, and just absolutely pings it. There's like his foot does this. That's all his foot does. And the power that he generates was just phenomenal. Just so good. And like I said, that was when I got garroted in the south stand and then pulled backwards, thrown forwards, and ended up having to hold somebody up on some chairs. But it was great. Just great to see them playing. It was really good. You could tell that meant a lot to Meslier as well, because when he turned to the south stand at the end of the game, and he was like really giving it some big beans, and everybody was supporting him. But just quickly on the whole Farke thing, I know obviously there's a lot of division with regards to it.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of division with regards to Farke, but last night the crowd were absolutely booming for him last night. You know how he does his normal walk around at the end? They were absolutely...
give it the
you could hear it.
Yeah, they were
hear it in the studio on Sky. You hear it.
Because it was an entertaining game. I loved it. Everything about it was brilliant.
Yeah, I just want to add on Dan James real quick, Jeff. That's all right. I think he just epitomises us, what we need this season. Honestly, I think I know it's a Leedsy thing, but honestly, I think he epitomises Leeds United as much as anyone. Because not only does he bring quality, but he brings passion and desire as well. And it's just so, celebration was great. Like Paul said, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because he's become a father, but he's playing for something. You can feel it. He really wants to achieve something in his career. Obviously, he's already made it as a footballer, but you can just feel he wants to really be loved by a fan base, I think. I think he really needs that. Obviously, because he's been around, hasn't he? He got to Swansea when he was young, but probably wasn't there long enough. And look, last season and this season, it's been absolutely unreal. I absolutely love him. I genuinely do. And he's right. Paul's right. He's just improving. His decision making's getting better. I think the manager's found a way to make him effective in a football team.
Yeah.
Every single time we get that ball, he's going beyond. No matter if it's wide or central, he's going on that last man. And you put a ball over the top, he'll get there. He's honestly one of the biggest threats in this league. He's so good. I just love how direct he is. Yeah, I just want to. He just epitomises what we need and what Leeds United is for me. I think he's brilliant. Yeah. And then off the field, you don't hear any rubbish ever. He just gets on with stuff, especially all the stuff he's been through at the club as well. And he's got a scar as well for the club, which I love. I love him. He's brilliant.
He'll always have that. Yeah, it's been said there by Oliver. He is and has always been for me a side before self player. When Bielsa was there and we'd no striker, he just went up front. He got tons of abuse all season for not being able to finish, but he still went in and did his job week in, week out, gave everything for this side. Was messed about under Jesse Marsh and was sent off to Fulham. I never liked what happened in that entire situation. I didn't like what happened. No. Brand new baby, bought a house in Leeds, and then gets shipped off down to London out of nowhere because Jesse doesn't like wingers. But I think he's come back. And when we talk about Farke and people talk about coaches that can improve players, Paul, I think we've seen a real improvement of Dan James in front of goal. And maybe it's Daniel Farke's striker background, but he seems just narrowed Daniel James's area to shoot, and he's not as wide when he gets these chances. He's much more tucked in, so we're not seeing those scoopy slices go into the stands anymore. We're seeing it go to the back of the net. But outside of the finish, Paul, last night, it was his defensive work last night that should be called out for some praise as well.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, that connection that he now has with both Byram and also Bogle as well in terms of how to cover each other is really, really good. It's just that covering up of players, making sure that there's always somebody there so they're not getting across on the outsole and being able to cut back in on the inside because there is somebody there. And it's just there's not a lot else you can say about Dan James because he's just like his game sense, his game awareness, his fitness levels they're an absolute joke that just in terms of everything that he can do. But I agree with you. You'll notice with both of our wingers, so whoever's on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, what they generally tend to do is they're not always hugging the touchlines. They will come in a little bit more. So that then allows you to have in that inversion. So you've got, and Wober did it last night. Oh, that was really funny as well with the Middlesbrough players, Middlesbrough fans thinking that Wober was offside all the time and that they getting offside, which was funny. But just that being up and available for the ball. So it's just, he knows his role, what he's doing, what he's supposed to be doing, and how to do it, when to come, when to go. I nearly went into this famous song then, didn't I? You've got to go or give, but do it at the right time. I nearly came, sorry. But yeah,
famous is a stretch there, Paul.
I'm sorry. So I'm just
I know it. I'm worried that I know it.
I know. But it just he is almost for me becoming an undroppable force in the team.
Yeah.
Because he's consistent and he's going to give you that 7 to 8 out of 10 all the time. Absolutely. All the time. Same with Byram. I mean, I know he can't do more than 1.5 games in a week, but he is so consistent. And I tell you what, Byram as well is a lot better of a footballer than some people give him credit for as well. He's got very, very good first touch and silky skills, but just Dan James,
Byram deserves a little mention, doesn't he? Because he was my Joe. We're just kind of going off here, but there's so many.
Go for it. It's on my list of people to talk about anyway, so crack on.
He was my favourite player growing up, Sam Byram, when he was here. I was going through college. Sam Byram was fullback at Leeds. I was fullback at college. I watched him a lot. I loved him. When he left, I was heartbroken. So I'm just, the younger me is so happy that he's back and playing. And that tackle on halfway line is absolutely wonderful. Just because he absolutely smashed him. But not only that, because they were on the counter then. If he didn't make that, they're in, by the way, the guy behind him. So he kind of stops their counter and creates an attack for us in one tackle. I absolutely loved it. He's coming on right back, definitely better at right back in it now in his career. But he's coming there. It just looks brilliant, doesn't he, when he plays? He genuinely does. And like Paul said, I think if he's fit every week, I think there's competition for Boro at right back with Byram there. I genuinely do. He just gets the game. He gets the league. He understands what it's like to play for Leeds. Like he said, he left for the Premier League, and look, I respect that. I just wish he stayed, and he could have been an absolute legend. But just got to shout Sam Byram, aren't you? Because he's one of the Leeds lads. So it was
really funny because I think after Rodon got injured, Byron was struggling with his calves in the second half, and Rodon was screaming at the bench to get some gel on so he could take just some gel just to help with his cramping and everything, and a bit of water and everything, stuff like that. So yeah, that togetherness of the team is just there. You can see it, which is good.
It's coming at the right time, and Lucky, you've touched on it about you feel like the season's on now. There's no international break this weekend to ruin it all for 2 weeks. It's, the momentum is able to build now. And it's really, really good. The thing about Rodon was very funny as well. Daniel Farkas said that he told him after he got up after being injured, "You're not coming off. Doesn't matter. You're not coming off." And he said, "Don't even ask. You're not coming off." End of story. I was convinced Ampadu was coming on for Rodon. And then you see him coming on for Sam Byron. I'm just scratching my head going, poor Isaac Schmidt sitting there going, I'm a right back and a left back. And now there's two centre backs playing in both full back positions. What have I got to do?
3 months. Yeah.
Yes, what have I got to do to get onto the pitch? But nice to see Ethan Ampadu back on the pitch. Just stop putting your foot on the ball and rolling your studs over it again, Ethan. Don't start that again. The one time you did it, they nicked it and went in the break. Don't do it anymore. We saw that at the start of the season. I don't want to see that happening again. Just keep that ball moving, because when we play a tempo, Lucky, we're a different side. We really, really are. And last night, the transitions from the back to the front were so rapid and so quick, and exploiting the space that Middlesbrough gave us, because they came at us with two big profile fullbacks that were hyped up an awful lot before the game. Ben Doak specifically. People who watch this channel told me in the comments Ben Doak was going to make shit of Max Wober. Didn't get a sniff off him. So fantastic defensive performance. But from that perspective, and the transitions going from back to front, Lucky, phenomenal yesterday.
Yeah, just every player on the same wavelength, understanding what they need to do on the ball. The front four I've been critical of. I think they've been inconsistent. And I still think in the game, those inconsistencies were still there. It's very chaotic at times. I think when Solomon and Perot came on, it calmed it down a bit. It was a bit more precise with the passing and movement. But yeah, they were brilliant. They all worked their absolute backside off them, that front four. Nonto was excellent defensively as well. I thought that's an underrated thing. He worked so hard back to cover Wober, which I really appreciate. But yeah, honestly, Joe, it was when we went forward, we looked dangerous every time. I think just with a little decision making in the final third, as usual, we get 5 or 6. We were that deadly, I think, in every counter attack. There was no really any time in the game, apart from maybe 10 minutes, where I thought we didn't look like scoring. I thought there was always that opportunity. As you see, you saw Wober attacking as well. You know, the midfielders getting higher. Tanaka in the last 20 minutes getting really high.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I love to see. This is the Leeds United I love. And the crowd absolutely loves these games where we proper go for it. It was proper chaotic in a good way, I think. But honestly, mate, yeah, the way in which we moved the ball was really good. And this is the Leeds we like. Okay, come on.
No.
This is the Leeds we like, innit? The one that go for it. Just proper go for it against a good team as well. You know, you could have easily sat back and soaked up the pressure against a team like Middlesbrough, but there was that little edge to the game that made you want to get into it. And I just want to mention Gilavogi as well. He's put another tweet out, which is an absolute just making me cry, by the way. I
love him.
I honestly think not in a player way, but in a person around the squad way, I think it's an absolute vital signing. I genuinely do. Nonto went up to him and celebrated for his goal. So there's clearly something he's told him.
Something being going on between the two of them, yeah.
And who mentioned last week about he did a speech before the game, which got everyone up for it. He's such an He's won. He's played for France. He's been in the Bundesliga. He's got caps for France is no joke.
Played for Atletico.
Played for Atletico, Bundesliga for over 200 times. The guy's a winner. He is inspiration for everyone in that team because he's achieved more than any of them in that squad probably. In his career. Do you know what I mean? And they want to get to what he did. So having him there just to speak to everyone and get the winning mentality there is so important, especially for the young lads. Sorry, I went on a tangent again, but
that's good.
The transitions were brilliant, Joe, to see. They were very quick, direct. A bit loose at the end.
I'd forgot I asked a question.
I forgot that we were talking about transitions. I was just sat there going, I love everything that you're saying.
Yeah, they were good, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they were fine. Feck it, doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. I just want to clarify one thing because it keeps coming pop back up. Me and Joe have talked a bit about this. There was no debate about the best team in the league. Me and Joe were coming at it from two different perspectives. I was talking about the team Leeds United and where we were in the league after 14 games. So 20 games in now, it doesn't apply. Joe was talking about the squad. We weren't on the same wavelength talking about it. I wasn't talking about the squad's ability. I was talking about where Leeds were in the league table based on results. That's all it was. So, yeah, we've talked about it since, so it's no big deal. But we just want to clarify that one because it keeps popping up. It's like it was after 14 games. We're 20 games in now. It doesn't count anymore. Let's move on. But there are some things I want to talk about. Paul, I want to ask you about Max Ferber because you have been very public in your not dislike of the player and what he has done. You've not been alone. I'm right there behind you. I didn't want to see him back in the league.
He's on trial.
But good game last night and good performance last weekend as well. But I want to get your take on it and where you sit with him now.
Whenever he pulls on the shirt and walks onto the pitch, I will always support the player because they're playing for the team. I won't sit there and go, dickhead, I don't want him anywhere near the squad. I don't want him near anywhere playing. I might not like the man, but in terms of him playing, show me it on the pitch and I'll start to respect what you're doing. The best sort of example of that is Brendan Aaronson. Coming back, getting into the squad, taking some pelters. But Brendan Aaronson, you cannot fault what Brendan Aaronson has done in this team this season so far. And the same with Wober. If he keeps it up, then I'm not saying that I'll love him or anything like that. I don't think I ever will. But when he is on the pitch wearing a Leeds shirt, I will support him. I've been impressed with his performances. I was impressed with him last night. I thought he was wanting to play forward last night. He was wanting that cross-come shot thing was quite funny as well.
It's really he smashes them across the box, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. But he's a nice surprise and a nice addition to have within the team. And again, we talk about it. He played in the Bundesliga last season, so it's not like he's not a decent player. He's an Austrian international, so it's not like he's not a decent player. And look, we're all fickle as fans. We can hate everybody 1 minute and love them the next. That's the nature of the beast. But Jonathan just said it there. There is a road back for him because there's two of the players that have absolutely proved it. So, he was gutted. He was gutted when he scored the own goal yesterday. Really, really pissed off with it. But like I said, he's got a little way to go yet. But I like what I'm seeing, and I like the attitude of him on the pitch. So I've got nothing. He's not hidden. He's gotten on with it. He scored a lovely goal in the last game and looked very, very solid in the game last night. So I've got no complaints about it.
Yeah, that's very mature, Paul, and that's what people should be doing. You can criticize performances and criticize people based on the time, but when that changes, the opinion should change in line with that. So it's great to see. Just to clarify, sorry, mate, I misspoke. I said drop 3 points, went from 3 points to 1 point. We should have had 3. We didn't get 3. We got 1. That's, keep me honest. Lockie, your thoughts on Wober last night? Because he wasn't supposed to play high. He was supposed to be more conservative. Yet every time I saw him, he was in the corner flag. And Paul, you talked about that, the inverted wingers giving the space as well. And Ferber took it up at every opportunity. And those crosses, they might look weird and they might not be paying dividends right now, but they cause chaos in the box when they're just smashed at chest height across the penalty area. Because a defender doesn't want to go back towards his goal with them, and a goalkeeper doesn't want to come out into a crowd. And if we'd had a couple of players a bit sharper around the 6-yard area, they could have caused some serious problems last night, Ben.
Yeah, class, mate. They were brilliant crosses, like you said. When they're low, you kind of know you're going to kick it away. When they're high, you can head it. If you just smash it across really hard at an awkward level, they have no idea what to do with it, and they've got less time to react. So they kind of just swing at it, Wober, it was really good, wasn't it? The goal's an interesting one because obviously he should probably get it up a bit more higher. He's not meant it, obviously, just try to clear it away. It's high above him. But I think as well, Meslier's probably in a bit more no man's land there. Joseph leaves the front post as well. Should have been there. So there's loads of people you could look at for that goal, but it is what it is. They'll go through that. That's fine. But I thought it was really good. I do. Like you said, just a bit of a threat, isn't it? It's almost like you've got a decent Bundesliga defender from last season who's just been dropped into a championship team. That's what he looks like.
Imagine that.
Yeah, he's actually quite good at football. You could probably play him in the 10 in this league and he'd be all right. Because he plays it. He's probably played at a higher level than anyone of these players last season, so he knows what he's doing. But I think he got a bit tired around 70th minute.
Yeah, you could see it.
Got a bit tired, didn't he? Doak kind of just ran beyond him, not got past him, but already, you've got high, then you got him beyond him a few times. But again, that's the way we play. I don't think that's a verbal problem. But yeah, honestly, mate, in terms of just his decision making is very sharp, very clear.
Yeah.
He makes the right decisions all the time. He understands the system now as well, which helps. When he played earlier on in the season, he did not look ready or sharp, but he even looks quite quick.
Yeah,
which
doesn't look
which
physically, but he moves.
He gets up there, doesn't he? So
he's another big player to have in the box as well for corners and crosses and things like that. I think, just touching on the crossing thing that we were just talking about there as well with Wober, I think a lot of that was trying to aim it at Joseph with the intention of Joseph making runs near post. So I think that's a lot of what that fast fizzed balls was, with the potential to try and see him get on the end of them. So
yeah,
it's an interesting situation because someone's asked about Farke's comments after the game, putting a challenge up to Firpo maybe. And it's an interesting situation. Obviously, Firpo's out of contract at the end of the season. He can negotiate a free transfer away from the club in January. Betis have been sniffing around. There's a couple of other clubs have been linked with a move from in Turkey as well, are keen to have a look at him. Daniel Farke, for me, didn't look happy with the second suspension that he picked up. His words were pretty scathing, pretty close to the bone. And I think had Wober or Schmidt been fit enough when Firpo came back from that suspension that he wouldn't have played in that game. I think Farke may have left him out completely. But now he's got Wober performing. Lucky. Does that change his situation with Firpo coming into January? The Leeds look at going, maybe he's been injured. He's been suspended twice. It's not started great. Maybe we look at moving away. He's going at the end of the season, possibly anyway. Just a hypothetical situation to get your opinion on.
Firpo's problem for me has been when he is injured, he takes a long time to get back into it. Yeah. And he always, another goal from a corner. And he always picks up little ones on the way back to the recovery. That was his problem in the Prem. He never really had 10, 15 games where he was like he did the start midway through last season, where he was brilliant. Yeah. Started this season brilliant because he stayed fit. He's had those suspensions, so he's been out for 4 or 5 games. Then he picked up injuries. And he just, when he played the other day before he got injured, he didn't look great. He did look slow, sloppish, not very sharp. And what you want in a team when that's happening is someone that can come in and step up, I guess. And that's what Wober's doing. And that's why I absolutely love it. You've got competition there. And Farke's he's saying these things because he's making sure Firpo knows, there's good players in this team. I know you're a brilliant player, Firpo, but you need to get back to your level because there's good players who can take your place. Yeah. And Wober has proven that. And he'll play now until Firpo's back. And then there's a conversation. If he's been really good, does he get straight back in? Does Firpo like that? Does that make him say, look, I want to play football? Last year of his contract and all that stuff. So there's definitely something to watch out for there. Firpo's brilliant. No one's denying that. I think he's still by far our best left back. He's probably the best in the league, let's be honest. But when he's not fit and not sharp and Wober's doing really well, there's a serious conversation when he does get back. We saw Ampadu came back in and he's got about 4 or 5 weeks till he's fit. I think he was. He didn't look great, but he's not going to, is he? I'm not. You know what I mean?
No.
And Firpo, if you're saying for Firpo when he comes back, he's going to have to prove himself. And is he willing to do that with the last year of his contract? Or is he thinking, I could probably just go play every week in Spain? I know I'd probably I'll just go play back home.
The weather's terrible as well. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, but hey, he's a pro, isn't he? I'm sure he'll come back in and he'll really want to try and mark his place back in that spot. But we'll see. It's good competition for me. That's what I see it as, and I like that.
The deal with Schmidt, lads, is he picked up he had a hernia problem during the international break. He had an operation on that, and it's been stop-start for him behind the scenes. He hasn't got going. And Farke said that he just hasn't got into any rhythm yet, but there's more to come. And I'd say, bear in mind, this time last year, Ilya Groove was still scratching his arse on the bench, so there wasn't a whole lot going on there. And look at the impact he had in the second half of the season. So there's still plenty to come. Paul, talk about a player that has a tough enough season in terms of opinions from people. Before we get to the wingers, I want to talk about the contributions of the wingers. Actually, before that, there's 320 people watching. If you could smash the like button, that would be great. Give me a kickstart after missing a couple of days last week. But Brendan Aaronson, Paul, had a really, really good game last night for me. Did a lot of tidy things on the ball, worked hard, got his goal. And he's clocked up 5 goals and 2 assists so far this year for a player that does nothing for Leeds United. He's 1 goal off of Jorginho Rutter's total for last season. Doesn't have the 15 assists that Rutter had, but there's still plenty of time left in the season for that. But he's got 7 goal contributions in 20 games. Not bad so far from the player that people are saying doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I get people's frustrations with Aaronson sometimes because I think sometimes his decision making can be questionable. He's very much like an excited, he's very much like an excited spaniel when it comes to making sort of the right decisions. He just doesn't sometimes. What he did last night, which was really, really good, was there was quite a few times last night where he broke up play really well, or nicked the ball off of somebody, or did a nice little pirouette, did a nice little sidestep to the left or right to create space. It was little balls through, just that last little bit that he just needs to get right. He does. He's incredibly fit. He does stick to Farke likes him to press. Somebody said it in the comments last night. This evening that was very much a pressing front line, particularly with oh God, I've forgotten his name. Help me.
Nonto James.
Joseph. Very much with Joseph, Aaronson, Nonto, and James. That's a high pressing.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculousness. So I mean,
against that.
Joseph, bless him, was knackered by about the 65th minute. But Aaronson, I've really enjoyed watching what he does. I've always said what we need to get out of our heads with him is that he isn't a Rutter replacement, because he's a destructive number 10 in terms of he's there to try and break up play a little bit. He does have a little bit of silk. He does have a little bit of appeal in terms of what he does. It's just that decision making right at the very, very end. He just needs to work on. That's almost the bit that's missing. And he's getting himself in areas to score goals as well, which is what you want to see from him.
Yeah, we were talking before we came on about him. You know, it's a tap in and all the work is done by Tanaka. It's superb by Tanaka, but he still has to be there. And the fact that if you look back at the first half and the ball's going across the box when nobody was there, getting into that position is important in itself. And he's done that again last night. He's not the creative number 10 maybe that Leeds want, but he is a different type of number 10 and adds different things. And he's not always perfect. And he has a lot of games where he is frustrating. And like he possibly suffers from some of the issues we saw with Dan James of the past as well, of like you work really, really hard, but that end product is just a little bit off at times. But he had 2 beautiful no-look passes again last night. Sometimes I think he just do no-look passes all the time because they always seem to find their mark when he does them. But he works hard and he did do an awful lot. And I always think it's a bit harsh to say he does nothing at all, because there's games where he'll struggle, but he does contribute, and he is contributing so far this season.
Yeah, I think that he does nothing is insane. I think he can improve, definitely, 100%. Look, I did a video on the other week, and I watched 4 games to get some clips. Genuinely, I could have done it this week, watched last game. I could have got every clip I needed from there, because everything good and bad happened in that game. I feel like in a really busy game, and that's the word for me, it's how busy he is. Even in games where the decision-making is wrong 4 times out of 5, he's there, he's been an option, he's been available, and the team need that player. Because the rest of the front 3, for me, whether it's positional or whatever, they're not as available all through the game as he is. He's always there. He's always popping up. And look, like 2 of the 4 times, he'll give the ball away when he does pop up. But he's there, and that's the key part of it for me. He's always an option to get out of trouble. He's always an option to drive with it, to win the ball back. Like you said, and when we say work hard, we mean there's results to it as well. I think this is a conception that when you work hard, that's all you are. No. Every single manager needs a player that works as hard as that to be successful. Because whether you like it or not, there's one player in a team who will have to do more than everyone else. And he's probably that player, because he's got more than in that central role. He has to go wide to press. He has to go central. He has to drop deep. He's got to do a lot of running. And there's no one in the team for me who can do that. And that's the key part of him. 100% needs to improve his final third stuff. Absolutely. He was very wasteful at times, actually, I thought, in the game. I'll be honest. I love him, but I thought he was very wasteful at times. He frustrated me at times. But then there's times where you see absolute quality. And it's just that consistency and it's the confidence, because when he gets it on that half turn in that space, which he did about 5 or 6 times, no one's near him again. They can't get near him. He's so good at finding little spaces and turning with it. It's just when he does do that turn, it's that next ball. If he can sort that next ball out, he'll get ridiculous amounts of assists this season. But yeah, like you said, I thought he was very good. But I also think there is times he just needs to slow things down a little bit and just work on that final third. Just keep watching himself back, analysing situations, go through what he could have done in that situation. But what I loved about the goal, actually, when he drives into the box, Solomon's in front of him, but he wants it, so he gets there. You know, Solomon's almost annoyed at him. We said that, didn't he? He's almost annoyed at him.
Yeah.
But he went, I wanted it. I wanted to score. I need that for me. And I love that. And that's what I love about him. You could see at the end of the game, well, when it was showing him walking around the pitch after, he looked, his face was, he worked so hard. And that is so appreciated for me because I think it's very important in this team, the stuff he does. But he does have to improve in the final third, without a doubt.
Yeah. He's not finished by a long shot. There's still a lot to do. But I will say, Andy, as a former striker, doesn't matter what it goes in off of. A goal is a goal, no matter if it's a 50-yard screamer or a 2-yard tap in. And I got a lot of 2-yard tap in, so I'm going to stick with that. Do you want to talk about? I'm not going to talk about the midfield pairing of Rothwell and Tanaka because they were just brilliant. I think we can all just nod our heads and say, they were phenomenal again last night. And
ridiculous.
Because we could spend every single week talking about both of them, and everyone's saying it in the chat. Don't break them up. Don't break them up. Don't break them up. And I don't want to that partnership broken up too early either. They've been brilliant for us. But what I do want to talk about is the contribution of the wide players. I put this out last night as well. These 4 players have contributed 22 goals and assists combined so far this season from the wide players. And we talk about having the best wide players in the league, Paul. This is a phenomenal amount. If you look at Willie Gnonto, 4 goals, 5 assists so far this season. Larry Ramazani, who's been out injured for a big chunk of the year, 3 goals, 1 assist. Manor Solomon, 2 goals, 1 assist. And Daniel James, 4 goals, 2 assists. And Dan James has done that in 10 starts as well. But in a hell of a contribution from this 4, and has been alluded to already, if you're a fullback and you're watching 2 of these go off and the other 2 come on, you're sweating a little bit, aren't you?
I'm sweating a lot just to see any of those come on to replace any of the 2 that are on there. The depth that we now have in terms of the squad is fantastic, and that we had a big over reliance on Somerville last year. What we've got now is we've got 4 very, very highly skilled, quick, talented players that can make a massive difference and do it very, very quick. I mean, can you imagine? Dan James has just been running you ragged for like the last 60, 70 minutes, and here comes Larger Ramazani. do you know what I mean? It's you just go, Christ, there we go. What am I supposed to do here? Or, you've been twisted in and out by Solomon. Oh, by the way, here comes Willie Gnonto. Yeah, subbing yourself off. I would be, yeah. I'd be going, oi. I'm done now. So, but just bringing Gnonto on, who can then just run at you at pace and cut inside and again twist you up like a pretzel. It's almost embarrassing, and it is almost embarrassing. And I say this a lot. Our entire bench is stupid in terms of what we can bring on to shore a game up, and the attacking availability that we have is just brilliant overall, particularly those on the wingers. Solomon, I'd like to see do a little bit more. We're starting to see it now with him because he's now getting the match sharpness there. Just want to see a little bit more. I thought he was okay last night when he came on in terms of what he did in the amount of time that he had on there. But just, I mean, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, as Ian says, bench is a cheat code. Lucky, what are your thoughts as a former winger? What are your thoughts on these 4? Because you're always slightly more critical of wingers than most people.
I am. Can't stand them, including myself. Terrible to play with, honestly. They do my head in. They never run when you want them to, honestly. And then they complain that you don't do it anyway. Honestly, the more selfish than strikers, they're terrible people. I'm joking. Wingers, it's tough to be a winger sometimes because unless you have a role where you're allowed to go centrally a lot, you're out of the game for a lot of it. You're very reliant on them getting the ball to you, kind of like a striker is as well. And at the end of the day, a lot of wing play comes down to you versus that fullback. And if you're better the fullback, can you beat the fullback? Can you get beyond the fullback? That's what it's about. Unless they're central, it's a 1v1 challenge, and that's why I love it. It's can I be better than you, that fullback? You're looking at him going, I'm going to destroy you today. And every single one of them players on there can absolutely destroy any fullback they come up against in this league. And that's why I'm critical, because I want to see that every single game. It's a high standard I have. I appreciate that. But I absolutely think they're capable of it. And any criticisms I've had of Gnonto this season is because I just think 2 or 3 games, the fullback's got better of him every now and again. Yeah. I don't like that. I'm greedy. I want him to get the better of the fullback every single time because I think he's capable of it. But I think, they're an absolute joke of a thought. I think, personally, honestly, I think Solomon changed the game when he came on, him and Boro. both of them,
Yeah.
to be fair.
That's very good.
Just, I think before they came on, it was a little chaotic. Nonto struggled to get into the game at that point. He was really good at the start, but in that second half, he just struggled to get into it a little bit in certain areas. I just think we need a little solidity up there, a bit more calmness, decision making. And when Solomon came on, the first 2 actions he did were winning fouls, slowed the game down. It's very what I like about Solomon now. He's very concise with his decision making. He makes it early, you can tell that. So as soon as he gets the ball, he cuts inside, he'll ping one across. And I like his passing as well. I think it's hard, it's crisp. He goes straight to the man. And I think his movement's very sharp. I think Solomon's a great player to have in situations where the game's a bit stretched. You want to calm it down a little bit. Give it Solomon. He retains the ball very well. And I thought it was very good. Same for Boro when he came on as well. But yeah, mate. And then, like you said, you've got Ramazani, by the way, who's, before he was injured, was our best winger. We've got him to come back into it. We've got Dan James playing out of his socks. You've got Nonto, who on his day is absolutely unplayable. Same for Solomon. You know, like, what do you do? And I just love the fact that there's rotation, but I feel all of them are getting a fair amount of minutes. I don't think it's unfair on any of them. You could argue Ramazani, but he's been out for 6 weeks. That's a long time. And let's be honest, the standard to get into the team is very high right now. But the fact that we have all them fit currently, and touchwood that stays, just means every single game we could change it. We could change the front four, the 2 wingers between them 4 every single game. And that is just such a luxury to have for sure. So, yeah, I will be critical still. There were still moments I thought Nonto and James were wasteful. I do think that. I think they need to get better at that. I was critical of Solomon at the start, hyped him up. He needs to be better. I think he's gotten better recently. Ramazani, I didn't know much about him, to be fair. He came in, he was brilliant. Again, though, some wild shots sometimes. But yeah, once they fully realise how good they all are at this level, which they are doing, to clarify, they'll be unstoppable. Yeah.
Good age mix in there as well. Some young, some slightly older.
With Ramazani as well, is obviously he's getting little minutes here and there, but you'll see he'll put like a really nice post on social saying, back on the pitch again, really good to be back on the pitch again. So it's almost like they're not fighting with each other. They understand kind of what their roles are and what they're expected to bring to the game, which I really like. I really, really like.
I'd give it 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe 2 weeks, I reckon, and then I think Ramazan will be right back in the mix to start. He's been out
Christmas
6 weeks
games
with an ankle. That's a long time.
Yeah.
You're only 7 games away from the transfer window opening. That's a very congested spell of games as well over Christmas. He'd rotate that squad. He knows what he's got in those wide areas. So you will be shocked if Ramazani doesn't come in at some point. Before we get to the Preston game, I'm going to wrap it up soon. Real quick one just from Andy's row here. Is Nonto a greedy, selfish player, or is he looking out for his teammates? And the statistics would say a little bit of both. He's got the most assists of any of the wide players so far this season with 5. Quite a lot. Dan James is the second closest with 2. And he's got 4 goals, which is the most of the wingers, joint most of the wingers with Dan James. So his output suggests he's doing a bit of both, and he's being selfish when he needs to be. And although last night he got a little bit of luck, but we probably deserved a bit of luck after the last couple of weeks. Not going to talk about the penalty because it wasn't a penalty. There wasn't enough contact. He threw himself, as far as I'm concerned. But I do want to move on and talk about the Preston game, because as good as the home form is, and 8 weeks in a row, and I hate to be Debbie Downer, Lucky, we've got Preston away. And our away form has been our Achilles heel so far this season. And any chance we have of starting to really pull away from the chasing pack will need to be sorted away from home. What are you thinking coming into the game against Preston at the weekend?
Yeah, it's Hecky, isn't it? I believe he's their manager.
It's Hecky, yeah. It's Hecky,
There's a bit of something there in this. Yeah, I think every away game, Joe, I'm always a little more nervous. I think we all are, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because you're right, what you said. It's because of that. You know, the form isn't as good away. Teams kind of set up differently, and we don't really have that crowd there for the most part to push us through certain moments. But look, if we want to win this league or go up in the top 2, we've got to just accept what's going to happen. They're going to sit deep. We know this, even though they're at home, whatever, they're going to sit deep. Accept that that's the case. Go beat them. Like I said, I'm looking at each individual. Even if the game plan isn't quite working, as an individual footballer on that pitch, you've got to look at yourself and say, I'm better than these. Everyone needs to take responsibility. The coach, I've said this many times, the coach is responsible for setting the team up. If it's not right, that's on him. But that doesn't mean you have to lose a game. You know, there's still the players who can say, right, this isn't working, but I'm Nonto, I'm pretty good. I can go winners this game. You know what I mean? And these are the games maybe where it's tight, where you need that, where you maybe need a set piece, a corner to go in. These are the little things in away games like this that you just need to be better than and just step up. Like, yeah, we've said the players are brilliant, aren't they? But there's games where they don't play like they are, and that's the frustrating side of it. So go there and be brilliant, mate. I know it sounds just go there and be class. Why not? You know?
Yeah, just to clarify, Sam Greenwood cannot play in that game. He is ready not to play against your parent club. And he's been in really good form for them this season. He's having a really, really good time down there, talking him up majorly down there. So good for us that he's missing from that game, Paul. But what else would you like to see from Leeds coming into this game?
Just they're going to sit deep. They're going to do what they usually do. I think it's going to be a stressful game, regardless of how we feel about it, because they're draw specialists, Preston, aren't they? They've in their last 6 games, they've drawn 5, won and lost 1. I think within that they've scored 1, 2, 3, 4. They've scored 4 goals in their last 6 games. So that's home and away. But they are draw specialists. That's what they do. We should be beating them all ends up. We should be beating them all ends up. So in terms of when you're looking at what they're good at, the only thing they're technically good at is shooting from direct free kicks and aerial duels. That's all.
Sam Byron.
That's
Sam Greenwood. The pieces is him.
Yeah. That's what they're good at. But weakness-wise, finishing scoring chances, keeping possession of the ball, defending against long shots, defending against through ball attacks, defending set pieces, avoiding fouling in dangerous areas, protecting the lead. That's everything that we're good at.
Yeah.
So you would think that we would go and win the game. But we have to, it's almost like a hoodoo that we need to get out of. We need to go with the mentality that we're Leeds United, we're top of the league, or one of the best in the division, and we're going to break you down and we're going to beat you. So whether that comes from a 1-0 off the arse and it's a win, I don't care. As long as we win, that's all that I'm bothered about. If we get a nice performance in with that as well, fantastic. I'll take it 100 times out of 100, but I will sit and be stressed for 90 minutes and take a 1-0 win, because that's the game then that switches that mentality a little bit away from home for me. But we should be going in there thinking that we can win the game. We should be. But what it means is that if we don't, yesterday was for nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, this is where you need to use a bowling analogy. This is the spare. It's no good unless you make the second shot. You know, you've got to make that. The first one's grand, set you up, but go and knock them down the second one. So, and as Jack Charlton once said when he managed Ireland, it's not about the opposition. We inflict our game on the opposition, and that's what Leeds need to do. It doesn't matter about you. We're going to play our game to the point where you can't do anything about it. And that, for me, we haven't done enough away from home this year. We've been too respectful of opposition teams a little too often away from home, and I'd like to see Leeds go and inflict their style of play on them and go deal with it. And if you go back to last season, the Preston game was the blip last year coming into Christmas as well away from home. So people have said it about an early kickoff. Sky have moved the game to 12:30, but it has also been said by Gavin, Preston are away at Cardiff tonight, so they have a nice little trip back as well. So not perfect for them either, and we should have a slight advantage in terms of timing if that does come up in the conversation. But we'll have a preview of that out before the end of the week. There is rumblings of a return of Andrew Stats-Dalton after his little break, so he might be back before the weekend for the preview. We'll have the normal stuff going into the games at the weekend because I'm back, so we'll have the warm-up on the Saturday morning before the game, or probably Friday night because it's an early kickoff on Saturday morning. And then we'll go again next week as well, but back in the morning with the news. Just a massive thanks again to Lockie and to Paul for joining me, and thanks to everyone in the chat. Been a really good discussion tonight. Ben, what's going on at your channel this week?
I just did the player ratings from the game and an overall reaction. I've asked the comments. I've not checked yet. I'm going to do a video on a player breakdown, but I've not decided which one. I'll read the comments tomorrow and go through it. So.
Sure. Paul, what about you? What's over at Leeds Therapy?
Just the usual. It's because there's quite a few games coming up in a short period of time. It's pretty much previews and then match reviews after that. But what I have started to do is get shorts from those videos, so posting a bit more onto TikTok, putting a little bit more onto YouTube as well in terms of just shorts, so little snippets from the videos, just little key points that are putting on there, just to try and do something a little bit different compared to just the normal kind of like long form, if you like. I know it's only like 10 minutes, but like the normal form video that I would normally do, just to give people something a bit different.
There's a possibility also, just for my own plug, of a watch along starting, but not on YouTube and not on Twitch. There's a different platform that I'm talking to a group of people around that's for live streaming stuff for games. And if I do a watch along, it's going to be over there because I don't want to take away from what the lads that do watch alongs on YouTube do. It's a different place, different platform.
Ooh.
But if that goes well this week, I'll have a conversation before the end of the week and fill everyone in, and we'll try and do something. But yeah, we'll have a crack at it anyway. Sure, we may as well. Outside that news in the morning, you can check out the guys' details down below on their channels. Go show them some love. Massive thank you to everyone who has watched tonight. Give us a like on your way out the door, and I will talk to you in the morning. See you. Bye.